Here comes Bosa. Here comes the quarterback, Burrow. Looking for a block, and he got it up in the front by Hopkins into the end zone. Touchdown!
Those little split-second differences so huge in the NFL. 2nd and 10, Burrow over the middle. Higgins breaking free, and Cincinnati back in front.
Rivers off play action. That one's going to be intercepted, picked off by Jesse Bates.
Oh, live. We are broadcasting live.
Welcome to the Streaking Stripes podcast.
The Streaking Stripes
post-game
podcast.
Yeah, this is our post-game shit. We're drinking. We're feeling
We
good.
buzzing.
The Bengals knock off the Minnesota Vikings 27-24, up and down all game. How we feeling? How we feeling, Bryce? How we feeling?
Lay your trial with the boot. The boot.
Absolute
Cheers.
boot. That dude is
Right.
fucking insane. So
That's why,
I'm
that's
gonna,
why you keep kickers that you draft. Marvin Lewis. Fucking let Jake Elliott go. Come on now.
Hey, Jake Elliott means we got Evan McPherson. So
Yeah, McPherson. He's a Bengals legend. He doesn't even know it yet.
I mean, look, his first field goal ever, he kicked it at 53 yards and split them. So, and then his second one,
dead middle.
I mean, he
Ice,
split
ice
it
in his
with
veins.
time expiring. That's just insane.
It is.
Yeah, I'm just looking at our stats. This was a pretty even game throughout, for the most part. Oh, there's a little bit of discrepancies, but time of possession, 35-11.
I will say for the most.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I don't even know what the stat is, but I know the thing that jumped out to me the most this game was Joe Mixon running for 100-plus yards. I don't know. I think he may have gotten the 120s. I don't know how the exact number, but that was damn impressive. I didn't think that he would get 100-plus. I was thinking maybe 60, 70 range.
Joe Mixon, 29 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. Long was only 19, so he was putting in work. I mean, he was trucking along.
It was 3-4 yards a carry. What was his average carry? Like 3.4 or something?
He had 4.37, so 4.3, 4.4 yards a carry, which is, I mean, you'll take that every week.
Oh yeah.
P. Ryan, 5 carries, 22 yards. That's not awful. It's a good little spell back.
His blocking was ass.
Yes, he struggled, man. Joe Burrow, 20 of 27, 261, 2 touchdowns, 128.8 quarterback rating in game 1. His first game back.
No deep ball.
And he fucking hit Jamar Chase for a 50-yard strike in the first half, and it was awesome. I mean, it was on the money, and oh man, it made me happy.
He ain't got a deep ball though.
I fuck with anybody that wants to say that. Speaking of Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 101 yards, a touchdown. He did have 7 targets. I don't think he dropped any. I think they
were deflected at the line and shit.
The 2 targets that he had, one of them was that third and I want to say it was like 3rd and 7 or something late in the game, I think it was our second drive in overtime. And Burrow tried to fit it into him, and if he would have caught that, he probably would have gotten murdered.
It just wasn't happening on that one.
Yeah, T. Higgins, 4 catches, 58 yards, Long at 28. Uzama, 2 catches.
We need to address something. Stop right. Pause.
What?
We need to address something.
We need to address?
T. Higgins, drink more water. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, he needs
bro.
He needs to.
You had us on our seats. Like we thought you were dead.
Yeah, that was
We were doomed.
I was on my seat.
We thought this like torn ACL or some shit. This motherfucker just needs to drink more water.
Yeah, I was worried because he got carted off, and I was like, oh god, that's not good.
Yeah, how often do you see a guy carted off for like cramps or dehydration or some shit?
Yeah, I mean it had to have been because he just like I'm dizzy, I can't walk. So if anybody didn't know, he went into the locker room, got an IV, and he came right back out. So
he came back out. He did.
I think this was really a Joe Mixon game, honestly. If I'm just looking at his numbers.
It was.
He had the 29 carries for 127 and a touchdown, and then he also had 4 catches for 23 yards in the pass game. So I mean, he was all over the place. I want to praise Evan McPherson, man. I love this kid. I'm so happy. I am so happy that we drafted him and kept him, like you said earlier. He's a stud, man. I'm so happy, and he helped the tailgate boozers out in the fantasy league. So I can't complain. So
yeah,
I will say
I was waiting. I saw him and
yeah. I will say that we do have a lot of things to work on. I'm looking at the numbers. Cincinnati 3 of 14 on third down. That's not going to cut it at all throughout the season. And then we also gave up 5 sacks for 44 yards. So offensive line still is, in my opinion, the biggest hole in the team. After that, I would probably say corner. I think we need corner depth because I was not impressed with Eli Apple whatsoever today. Very impressed with Chidobe Awuzie. No. But Eli Apple basically handed Minnesota their first 7 points. So, Minnesota also had 12 penalties for 116 yards. So that's rough.
Yeah. The thing that jumps out though is you can definitely tell the stadium was booming, and it was fucking loud because we came out they had four penalties on the opening drive. I think what were 3 of them false starts, or all 4 of them false starts?
I think we had 3 false starts. So,
and the other one was like a.
I think the other one was a holding on like a second down because they were throwing quick because they were. They got behind the chains big time on that first drive. So, I will also say we gave up 24 points, but I thought our defense looked very much improved from last year. Our run defense especially.
Oh yeah, yeah, the front 7 was definitely improved from, I think, adding Ogunjobi and Hendrickson. They definitely whether it's going out wide to get the running back in the flats or just clogging up the middle. Dalvin Cook finished with?
I think he finished with like 60 yards. I mean, I think Minnesota as a team finished with 67. So, and Dalvin Cook 20 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. That's it.
And he's a league leading rusher, like running back 2 or 3 in the league, and you hold him to 67 yards rushing. You put the ball in Kirk Cousins' hand and make him win you the ball game. That's impressive. Like you said, our DBs were kind of shaky. I mean, you got Mike Hilton coming in and stopping the run, so he was impressive there. Von Bell, Jesse Bates, they were impressive as the safety position. Definitely looked physical. But as for, Awuzie, he looked good from what I saw. Mm-hmm. It was mainly Eli Apple, and I think once you get Wayne's back, it's hopefully that's not a problem anymore. But you still need those guys to fill in when your starters aren't there. So I definitely need to try to find out something to do there.
Yeah, I think once we get Trey Waynes back, which is just it's aggravating because
hopefully
he hasn't played a snap yet since he signed. But I think once you get Trey Waynes back, Eli Apple will do a little bit better just because he's not going to be, in on every play. It's going to be Wayne's
Yeah.
and Awuzie. So you might get
And what
better
do you
just
do?
by getting healthy, but I think it's just a hamstring. I think, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Well, him and
we'll be all right once we get healthy. So,
but I must say it's nice only having you got Osai on the IR and whatnot, and then I think what's the other guy? Wyatt.
Wyatt
I
Hubert.
don't know his last name. The dude, yeah, the guy from Kansas State.
Yeah.
Him and Osai on the IR, but I mean it's nice actually going into a fucking game and only having two people really on the injury report with Wayne's, and we had another quarterback that I don't recall his name, but I don't think it really would have made a difference. But yeah, with the Trey Wayne's injury, I mean, I think that's a pivotal injury because I mean you're paying this guy all this money and he hasn't touched the field yet. But with that being said, I don't think you're necessarily going to need him next week. If Andy Dalton's quarterbacking, if Justin Fields is quarterbacking, that's kind of a different situation. But then you got the Steelers week 3. We're not hyped on Ben, so we don't necessarily think that you're going to need him then. Then you got Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence week 4. Probably still don't need him then. So maybe you can rest him the next 2-3 weeks and then just hope that he's 100% come Green Bay. Because I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna need a top quarterback and against Aaron Rodgers. So staying healthy right now is definitely pivotal, and it's definitely something we haven't had in previous years. So with only, I think we got 3, 4, 5 guys even hurt, 2 guys on the IR and then 2 guys on the actual injury list. So
right, yeah, and I mean, I feel like Eli Apple, he had today he did not show out very well. Really at all. I think. I mean, we talked about it earlier. He had he basically handed Minnesota their first 7 points of the game, and outside of that, I didn't see him a lot making any plays in the secondary. So the good thing is, at least next week, you can probably put Awuzie on Allen Robinson, as that's pretty much their only weapon at receiver right now, and you can try to let Eli Apple cover the other side, and they'll obviously flip boundary and field depending on where Robinson is, but wasn't really impressed with Eli Apple, but I do think that when Wayne's comes back, he'll be better just because he won't be taking bulk snaps. He's not going to be a starter. So
I'm about to say he's a big body physical corner. But I mean, based on today's performance, I don't think you can be too upset with Eli Apple because you have Thielen, you have Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And the defensive line was incredible today. I mean, they were getting pressure on Kirk, and I mean, he didn't feel comfortable back there. I mean, they had big plays. You'll have that, especially when you're playing man on man and shit. It's gonna happen, but I wasn't overall too disappointed with our defensive performance today, especially after last year. That was pretty bad last year. I mean,
yeah, last year was rough. But we definitely, I think we definitely saw improvement, like we talked about earlier. I just think that, I mean, what we saw today, at least with the secondary and Eli Apple in specific, is that we had 2 really good receivers for Minnesota, and for the most part, Chidobe Awuzie limited and kind of really locked down Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah.
So he did very well. they were obviously attacking Eli Apple and Thielen because Thielen had a really good game. Eli Apple was on Thielen pretty much the whole game, so they kept attacking him, and
I must say, but
2 touchdowns.
Thielen also had his drops this game.
He did.
Thielen had drops this game. He wasn't perfect.
He did.
Whether that was on the passer or him himself, he had his drops. So you can't. So he definitely wasn't 100% comfortable with the coverage he was getting. I don't think.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing with all of this is we bottled the run. Like we talked about that a little bit earlier, and holding a running back like Dalvin Cook to 61 yards rushing is your recipe for beating the Minnesota Vikings. Like that is it. If you can stop Dalvin Cook and make Kirk Cousins beat you through the air with his receivers. Now, he has 2 good receivers, but when you have a Wouzier that's shutting one down and keeping one covered, he's only really got one option. And we can try to at least look that way and try to help the other side with safety help, linebacker help, whatever we need to do.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty evident when you came out the first 3 drives and you held them to. You stopped them the first three drives of the game. Granted, we had pretty passive playing calling on the offensive side of the ball, in my opinion. The first, I think, 4 drives.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota eventually scored a touchdown that 4th drive of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But we eventually answered back with a touchdown and then a stop and then another touchdown. But yeah, the defense. I think the defensive scheme behind Lou wanted to run out there was definitely one to win the ball game. I just think that maybe our offense was a little slow to get wherever the hell they're trying to fucking go with the first quarter.
I scrolled through Twitter through the first after the first couple drives, and a lot of people were reactionary. Not gonna lie, after the first one because we ran we ran like 2 run plays and a screen pass, something like that, and everybody was like, "Come on, let Joe throw."
The first series was 5 plays.
Yeah, so and then we
had 2 3-and-outs.
Yeah, and they weren't. The issue was they weren't 5 plays where we got to see Joe Burrow, and that's why everybody was like, "Come on, let him throw, let him throw, let him throw." And I understand to an extent ease him in kind of thing, but I thought that the play calling was also passive at the beginning of the game because you have your franchise quarterback starting a game for the first time since the middle of last season. Let him sling it, and I'll give Zach Taylor credit where it's due. He let him throw a little bit more towards the middle-ish endish, like the mid-end of the game. But you come out with that game plan. It's that's not my ideal start, is what I'm getting at.
But here's what I'll say: do you think that was Zach Taylor's doing, or do you think Joe Burrow just might have went up to him on the sideline and said, "Dude, coach, let me throw the fucking ball, dude"?
I think Joe Burrow was probably pushing Zach Taylor's buttons just to try to get him to call a play, just to try to get him to call a pass play. Definitely, because that seems like a Joe Burrow thing. Now, at the same time, you probably you probably have Joe Mixon also going like, "Feed me," So
yeah.
But. Yeah. Circling back to
Joe
the defense.
Burrow is definitely a personality. Like, you can't tame him.
Right, yeah. Circling back to the defense, we did up until that series when Eli Apple just gifted the last 30 yards to the Vikings. We played very well. We played very, very well. I mean, if you go back and look at the box score, we held them scoreless in the first quarter. Now we were also held scoreless. It was 0-0 at the end of one, but through the first few
No,
drives,
actually, so the scoring picked up in the first quarter. It was 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. So it was more like the
that's the
2-minute
first
offense
half.
bullshit picked up. No, it was the first quarter.
I have it right here, dude.
It's right
Hold
here.
on. I'm gonna pause this. All right, we had a little bit of a technical issue there. Bryce is using the ESPN app, and ESPN can't keep track of their stats correctly. So,
Fuck no, they can't.
yeah. So,
but anyway, yeah,
we had a scoreless first quarter. So I thought, just circling back to that, defense played very well, especially if you want to go to this end of the second quarter and the whole half the first half as a whole. I mean, you give up 7 points to an NFL offense. That's solid. We haven't had that consistently. Now this is only the first game, but we haven't had that consistently in a while. We're usually letting guys move the ball, letting them move the ball, and picking up first downs like every drive. That didn't happen.
Which I mean,
we got a few 3-and-outs, which is good.
Which I mean, even the first drive of the game, they still drove the ball 39 yards and had the ball for 4 minutes, but we still stopped and forced a punt.
Right.
And then the next drive, they had it 3 plays, 4 yards, 3 out, punt that bitch back to us. Like the defensive line was ready to play, and they were getting to Kirk Cousins, and it was definitely evident that the defense early on was improved, and the pass rush was there.
Right. Yeah, and I think we can build this. The other thing with this is I think this is something that we can definitely build off of, and make more of a normality with our defense, which is it's very, very promising. So and we've
one more thing on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more thing on that first drive. The Vikings also, they moved the ball 39 yards, but they also had 4 penalties because that fucking crowd at Paul Brown Stadium. Let's go.
Yes,
you guys were hyped. Let's go.
You
were in there.
You guys
pat
were
yourself
absolutely
on the
insane.
fucking back.
Yes,
Let's go. That was insane.
You guys made that environment absolutely crazy. I wish I could have been down there.
For sure.
But just watch it on TV, man. It was electric. So absolutely, props to you guys. Get a round of applause for Who Dey Nation coming out.
Who Dey?
We've covered that that touchdown by Minnesota. So I just want to point out and fast forward past that. The drive that we had right after, I think, was absolutely crucial. When they went up 7-0. We bounced back and put together a really, really nice drive. And it wasn't a quick score drive either. We drove the field, got to inside the 2-minute warning, and that's when Joe Burrow popped back and delivered a strike to T. Higgins in the end zone.
Higgy.
He had a game. He had a game. Obviously, I think he probably actually would have had a better game if he didn't. If he was just hydrated, but
drink water.
Yeah. So, and then we get another stop with less than 2 minutes. I think we had a minute 23. We got another stop. We got the ball back, which is fantastic.
And the next drive was very impressive. You start the ball at your own 25. You go 4 plays, 75 yards, in 36 seconds. And that play ends in a 50-yard bomb to Jamar Chase.
Yes,
let's go. Joe Burrow connecting on his first 30-plus yard pass of his career. And you can expect more of that.
We have heard all offseason that Joe Burrow doesn't have an arm. We've heard that really since the draft, actually, about Joe Burrow, that he doesn't have a strong arm. He's not going to throw the deep ball well. It doesn't matter if you pick Jamar Chase. He's not going to throw the deep ball well because he just can't. We've also heard throughout the preseason that Jamar Chase, well, he's a bust because he drops the ball. He's this, that, and the other. And we've heard so much negative stuff about this pair that they shut him up on one play. And I think now that the rest of the NFL is starting to figure out, okay, these guys are for real, they're legit, and this is a pair that we are all going to have to look out for years and years to come because they can hurt you. And I think that's going to make the secondary a lot more, the secondaries that we face a lot more honest. And I don't know. I'm just very, very, very excited about that. It was a great way to end the half, and we obviously got another stop after that. So, coming up next, we will get into into the second half where a lot of things went down. All right, so next we're gonna go over the second half. Just diving right into it. First series from the Bengals in the second half. An 11-play, 75-yard, almost 6-minute drive that ended in a Joe Mixon touchdown. Touchdown could be a little controversial, honestly. I don't know if he was down before the ball crossed or not, but they ruled that he was in, and we'll take that every time. So what did you think about that drive coming out of half?
Yeah, I think coming out of halftime, they knew they needed a big drive, and to come out with a very time-consuming drive, they very much so focused on Joe Mixon coming out of half. I mean, they had the one big play that was like 28 yards to T. Higgins, but for the most part, it was a very run-centric drive. You had it was basically Joe Mixon and T. Higgins. The ball was either run by Mixon on, I think it was like 7 plays, or was caught by Higgins on the other like 2 or 3 4 plays, whatever it was. And I think coming out of halftime, you got that was a very solid drive. You go up, you late in the second quarter, going up 14-7, then you come out of the second half, first drive, second half, you put up 14, or you put up a touchdown, go up 14. I think that's what you need coming out onto the second half.
Yeah, I think it was great. It's a tone setter, is what it is. It shows Minnesota. It shows everybody that, hey, we scored last, and we also scored first in the second half. So you're gonna have to catch up to us now. So yeah, I think it set the tone for the second half. And honestly, at the end of that drive, I was feeling pretty. I was feeling pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
And then
we had
you scored.
Go ahead.
You score a touchdown, and then Minnesota gets the ball, and they run 7 plays for 40 yards, almost 4 minutes, and then they have to punt the ball away. So there you go. You already got 10 minutes of the second half down, and you're up 14.
Yeah, and that'll lead us into
and you get the ball back.
That leads us into the next drive that you and I differ on the play call there. Not necessarily the play call, but the decision by Zach Taylor. Following that punt, Bengals got the ball back. Bengals got the ball back at their own 21. Joe Burrow got sacked, so we're at our own 13. Mixon ran for 2 yards, made it up to the 15. On 3rd and 16, Chase gets about 15 yards, so we sit at 4th and 1, and Zach Taylor decides to go for it at his own 30, and Joe Mixon slips and falls, and the Bengals turn it over on downs on their own 30. My opinion of it is I don't think that is the right spot to go for it. I think it was, for lack of a better term, really a stupid decision by Zach Taylor. I'm vocally not the biggest Zach Taylor fan out there, so I might be a little harsh on him, but I don't understand the logic in going for it on fourth down when you're up 14 at the end of the third quarter. You're almost into the fourth at home. I think that's I understand the whole you want to go for broke and win the game and end it right then and there. And if you pick up the fourth down, it's probably backbreaking. You probably go down and get some more points, and you might put the game away then. I mean, if you get a touchdown on that drive, you probably do put that game away. But the opposite of that is you don't get it and you give Minnesota life, and they're 30 yards away. They're already in field goal range and they're 30 yards away from scoring a touchdown. I don't agree with it. I think it was a silly mistake, but that's my take. What about you?
I get where you're coming from, but when you're up 14 points, I'm never gonna disagree with a coach for being aggressive if it's within reason. So I mean, obviously, if this is a 4th and 6, you're on your own 30-yard line, and you go for it, then I'm probably gonna be like, "What the fuck are you thinking?" But it was a 4th and 2. Your offense has been moving, or your offense had been clicking from what from the previous drives. I mean, it had been clicking, moving well, and your defense definitely proven themselves. So I was definitely, you know what? Let's fuck it, go for it. Be aggressive, put the fucking foot to the floor, and let's go. Let's run up the damn score. Like, I'm tired of this shit where we're always, being the rug mat and being stepped on. Like, let's go. Let's bully some people. Like, it was time, and I don't know. I don't know if I 100% agree with the play calling. They definitely stacked the box. You probably could have came up with something else. It didn't help with that Mixon stumbled. But yeah, definitely we didn't pick it up, and I think it definitely changed how this game ended.
Yeah, it definitely did. Like I was saying, the Minnesota gets the ball back because Joe Mixon stumbles and doesn't pick up the first, so they get the ball. 4 plays, 30 yards, 51 seconds later, they got a touchdown, and they're right back in the game. It's 21-14. Now, the following drive was probably critical to how the game finished. Evan McPherson, we go 7 plays, go 40 yards, 3 minutes, 11 seconds off the clock. Evan McPherson nails a 53-yard kick to put us up 10, 24-14.
Legatron!
I mean, yeah, and it was that's his first career kick, first career field goal, not his first career kick, and he drills it, splits it from 53.
Yeah,
I love this kid.
Reiterate on something real quick. This is something that Fat Randy didn't give us last year. I love Fat Randy. Fat Randy's one of our podcasters' dad. But yeah. Fat Randy didn't give us this last year, so
right, yeah, exactly. Following that field goal, Bengals, they struggled a bit. I think they got to a couple third downs where they got Minnesota down to third down, but ultimately Minnesota puts together a 10-play, 75-yard, 4-minute, 50-second drive for a touchdown, and they bring it to 24-21. And I mean, they're right in this thing. They got a chance to win. So
I hate to interrupt the Streaking Stripes podcast, but we got breaking news. Kansas City Chiefs just picked off a Baker Mayfield pass with 1 minute and 9 seconds left to go, and I think that's going to put the icing on the cake for the Chiefs-Browns game. Anyway, what were you saying?
We always like to see that. We always like to see a division rival go down, especially if Baker Mayfield's the reason.
Baker Mayfield, though.
Going to the end of the fourth quarter and into overtime. 3 straight punts from 2 from the Bengals, 1 from the Vikings, and then Minnesota nails I want to say it was a 40-some yard field goal. I don't remember what exactly the distance to tie it and send it to OT.
It was a 53-yarder, so he tied Evan, which we had many Browns fans telling us, hey, don't worry about it. This guy sucks. This is why we cut him. And sure enough, this motherfucker nails it like it's a fucking 70-yard field goal that he's going to drain for his life.
Yeah.
And here we go, OT football.
Hell yeah. Well, we got
why
OT,
not?
we got OT football coming up in our next segment because, the Bengals, they love to make us stress. So we'll definitely get into OT and we'll discuss some things because there's a lot
way of life.
There is a lot to discuss about the OT. All right, and that'll take us into overtime. Because why not in the first Bengals game of the season? Why not have overtime? It's fun. Bengals win the coin toss and don't do anything with the ball, really. They just kind of meander out there, do a little shindig, and then
Shaboot it.
kick it away.
Like, hey, we're here. We're going to do these things, and we're just going to give it to you, Beat that shit.
Right.
Kevin Huber needs some field time, some screen time.
And, that's pretty much how it was the entire
And then Minnesota gets the ball.
Period. Yeah, that's pretty much how the Bengals handled overtime the whole game, the whole period. So, and I'm just gonna touch on this for a second.
And then Minnesota, we get a 3-and-out by Minnesota, and then we get a 3-out by the fucking Bengals because why not? That's how it is. And then, okay, here's where things get interesting. Do you got anything before I get?
I want to
I dive deep into this.
I want to address something before we talk about the game-altering play that happened.
Next try.
Yeah. Zach Taylor. I know Zach Taylor's not gonna watch or listen to this at all, but in case you are, are you ever
Zach Taylor? If you're listening, subscribe. Send us your Venmo, whatever you want to do.
Yes, please sponsor us. I'll take away all this stuff if you sponsor us. I just have one question for him. Zach Taylor, are you ever going to call a game in crunch time like you want to win the damn game? Over at the overtime period,
him being an Ohio State fan.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, him being an Ohio State fan, he understands the trust the ball conservative bullshit. He probably doesn't like it.
I hate it.
Zach Taylor's that type of coach, but
he can be. He's shown. This is why it pisses me off. Is because when the game's not in crunch time and the game's not on the line and you need to go down and score, he has shown that he is willing to go for it. He fucking went for it on 4th and 1 on his own 30. Jim Tressel would never do that. He's aggressive. He's an aggressive play caller. But his dick shrivels up when things get tight. It's just he gets scared and he starts calling the game like he doesn't want to lose. Instead of trying to go win the game in crunch time, he calls it because he doesn't want to lose. He played for the tie pretty much the entire overtime period, and it pissed me the hell off. So to my question to Zach Taylor, are you ever going to actually call plays like you want to win in crunch time? Because if you're not, you can get gone. I don't need you on this team. I don't need you coaching this team. Unless you change that, I'm gonna be on your ass for it.
Me personally, Zach Taylor, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if you're gonna be aggressive, but be all gas, no fucking break. Let's go. Pedal to the floor. I can defend that. I can defend that, but don't be all gas, no break until you fucking game's on the line. Then you be, oh my god, emergency brake, whip that bitch.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll take a deep breath here and cool down. You just go ahead and discuss what happened. What was the game-changing play?
So then, we got all that shit happens, and then we have a fumble by Dalvin Cook that may or may not have been a fumble, which, if you ask me, was not a fumble because there was a lot of things happening there, and it looked like his ass was on the ground. But you know what? If something goes in my team's favor, I'm not gonna bitch because I've had a lot of things go against my team.
Right.
We've
We
had
don't look a
Vontez
gift horse in the
Burfict
mouth, right?
and some of the bullshit that.
Yeah. If they're gonna give
So,
us a call, we're gonna take it.
A fumble happened. We recover. Dalvin Cook is one of my fantasy running backs, so I was kind of sad, but he still finished with like 20 points, so I'm not too upset about that. But anywho, this fumble is caused, and it is recovered by the Bengals. It is under review, and first down, Bengals. And so that leads us into.
I thought we were. Let's just
final drive of overtime. That is a 7-play.
At the time of the fumble, real quick, I'm looking at the replay and everything. I honestly thought that he was down, and I thought there was conclusive evidence. I'm not gonna lie. I think they blew that.
And to be clear, this is deep in Cincinnati territory when this fumble happens.
Yeah, they were in field goal range.
This was also deep in Cincinnati territory. I think this was like what Cincinnati's 38-yard line.
Yeah, it was.
This was a 38-yard line at Cincinnati.
Yeah, they were well within field goal range. I mean, all they really had to do was drain the clock and kick a field goal, and they would have won. So, I mean, yeah, I think we got away with a call. I think they blew it. I saw them bring out the notebook, and typically when they bring out a notebook, when they're reviewing a play, that usually means that they're going to overturn the call on the field. But
reverse.
Yeah, I'll I'll take it. I'll take them calling it a fumble. I was like, I don't think that's right, but I am willing to accept it. So, and then we have our drive that with I think you said it was 7 plays, 40 some yards.
Yeah.
And
the
big play.
It started with a little short pass to Chase, then some mix and run, then a no gain. And then, we have a 6-yard pass, a 3-yard run, and then a no gain. And then Zach Taylor, he wants to show his balls again. We got a 4th and 1 on the Bengals 48-yard line. And I'll let Jake carry away with this.
Yeah,
because this is his favorite part about Zach Taylor. It's when he doesn't show his balls.
Yeah, I just ripped him a couple minutes ago for him, but calling it stupid.
What happens on this 4th?
I will preface it by saying I agree with it in this situation. You have less than a minute left. You're at midfield. This is a decision that you say, I'm trying to win the game here. Zach Taylor goes for it.
We're not mad because this is essentially you have to go for it. You have to.
Zach Taylor brings out.
Go for it, right?
He brings out a jumbo set, and I don't know if Joe Burrow actually checked to a play action, or if that was the call the whole time. He might have checked to try to get motion just to try to see if they were in man coverage or not. But little play action fake. Minnesota bit hard on it. I mean, they were fooled. And Joe Burrow hits CJ Uzomah for a, I want to say, how much was that? Look,
32 yards.
Yeah, 32 yards. A 32-yard pickup to the
32-yard pass. It takes us down to the 20-yard line.
Yeah. Then we'll have a 5-yard rush by Mixon to center it up. And then Evan McPherson drills in his first career game, drills the overtime winner from 33 yards away. Absolutely electric. Electric environment.
Hold on. Time out.
What?
Time out. If you're gonna address him, if you're gonna leg Tron for the dub.
All right, yes, Leg-a-tron for the dub. Yes.
I don't know who the fuck Evan McPherson is, but I know who Legatron is.
Yeah. So Bengals win 27-24. Crazy game from start to finish. We just kind of went over all of it and gave our thoughts. But next up, we're gonna cover our next opponent, the Bengals' next opponent. We go to Chicago, and we will cover that coming up.
Where we preview next week's segment.
Next week's segment? All right. Well, the next segment is we're going to go and talk about our next opponent, the Bengals' next opponent. We're going to Chicago next week, playing the Bears. I think they're more so known for their defense than their offense. But
Windy City.
What do you think? What do you think about the Bears?
You got Khalil Mack, who is the linebacker defensive end. You got Akeem Hicks in the defensive tackle position, and you got Eddie Jackson in the safety position. Their defense is definitely what you think of when you think of the Bears. I think the biggest thing when it comes to this game is I think the Bengals will be able to potentially, score on this defense, but you got Andy Dalton starting week 1, which Bengals Nation, Houday Nation, whatever you want to go by, is definitely familiar with Andy Dalton. We all, I think 99.9% of us want to see him succeed. He's definitely been a quarterback that's got shit on his career. I think everybody would agree on that. Jake?
Yep, I absolutely think. I was a big Andy Dalton backer when he was here. But.
Yeah, so for sure, I don't see how you don't like an Andy Dalton quarterback. Yes, he might be a game manager, but I don't understand where all the backlash came from. So if you have an Andy Dalton-led Chicago Bears, even though I just said that I don't think he's a horrible quarterback, he's a game manager. With that being said, I don't see this Bears offense with the way our defense played week 1, if that continues, being a problem. Because who's the threat? You got Allen Robinson, you maybe Tariq Cohen, I don't know. You got Montgomery. Who is a threat on this offense that you could see potentially hurting this defense?
Yeah, I don't think there's really. I don't really think. I think maybe Allen Robinson, but I would really more so lean towards Allen Robinson with Justin Fields quarterbacking the offense. I think that Justin Fields quarterbacking that offense and Andy Dalton quarterbacking that offense are two completely different things.
Two different teams.
Yeah, exactly. I love Andy Dalton. I'm a big Andy Dalton fan. I love him, but
Justin Fields can hurt you with his legs.
Right. He's not. He's just
nothing but the best for Andy.
He just isn't Justin Fields. That's just how it is. So, I don't think defensively we should be too worried. Obviously, it's an NFL offense. They're probably going to put up points. So I'm not going to overreact if they score a couple touchdowns. But the big matchup that I think everybody is looking for in that game is Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, the Bengals offense against that Bears defense, mainly Khalil Mack, and his
hopefully T. Higgins drinks water this game because we can't afford him to be dehydrated again.
Yeah, we also
need T. Higgins.
We also need Mike Thomas to not either not play or not be as bad as he was today, because he really didn't have a good game against Minnesota. So, I think it's mainly going to be how they handle that defense.
I think you, me, and the other guy typically on this podcast that is not present at the moment.
Yeah, we're missing Drew today.
I think we can all agree that we are still baffled by the idea that Mike Thomas is getting playing time, more playing time over Auden Tate.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Which
whatsoever.
Auden Tate we don't expect to be like this crazy, God sent, freak of nature. But Mike Thomas is also some dude that like almost caused us to fight with Miami last year on some bullshit. So, which I'm also sorry for any explicit behavior if you're not into that, but that's kind of how I am.
It's okay, man. We're not professionals. We're just fans. So, I don't. Going back to the Auden Tate Mike Thomas thing, man. Did I freeze? Yeah, we're coming to the end, but just to the Mike Thomas Auden Tate. I don't understand it. I think Auden Tate's a perfectly fine wide receiver.
He did get some field time today.
Who, Tate? I didn't see Tate out there much.
Yeah, Tate did get some field time today. I think it was like late fourth quarter.
All right. Well, I mean, regardless, I still think that that he should be getting more than Mike Thomas. But
said, though, us talking about the preview for next week. With this being said, the preview for next week, I hope to God we see an Andy Dalton-led Bengals or Bears team. Sorry, Bengals. I got too used to saying that. I hope we see an Andy Dalton-led Bears team because the fact I don't know, like I'm after this week 1, the defensive line and whatnot, the front 7, I want to take on this high. You know, you get so used to like being that defense that, you know, just gets bullied all the time to where you see a defense come out and it's like, damn, dude, this looks good. You want to kind of like take that in, you know, take it all in at once. But at the same time, like you kind of want to take in half of that and be like the other half, like, nah, dude, that's fake shit right there. Like, that's not going to be the real thing. So that's why I'm kind of hoping Andy starts. And I hope Andy plays the whole game because if Justin Fields, that 50-50 optimism I have turns into like an 85-15 because this motherfucker can run. Like, this dude is dynamic. I mean, he may be young and he's going to make mistakes like he did in college. But don't take this motherfucker for granted. He's probably going to take this league for storm at some point in his career. And look out.
Yeah, I'm not like I said, love Andy, but I would much rather face an Andy Dalton-led Bears team than a Justin Fields led Bears team. I personally think Justin Fields is going to be an absolute
dynamic.
Stud. I think he's going to be an absolute
He's dynamic
stud in the NFL, and I don't want to face him. Even as a rookie, I don't want to go up against him.
He's going to have growing pains. And he's got that bum-ass Tom Herman on his coaching staff. Shout out to you, Tom Herman, you bum.
Yeah. But sorry, with all that...
I'm a salty Texas. I'm a salty Texas fan. I got to get that out. You bum, Tom Herman.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway,
horns down. Horns down with Herman.
With all that being
horns
said,
down with Sark too, but still, fuck that.
With all that being said, we're gonna have to watch tonight and see how this Bears team is, because we don't really know a whole lot yet. So, we'll have a little bit more next week.
We'll probably get maybe we'll maybe get like a 15-minute segment or something come next, like Thursday or something. You know, just try to recap what we saw on Sunday night to like reiterate on our preview for next Sunday, but.
Yeah, we'll definitely check out the Bears tonight, and we'll come back and assess some things and see how we stack up. But that's gonna do it for episode 1 of the Streaking Stripes podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave a like and subscribe on YouTube. Go ahead.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter at Streaking Stripes.
Yep, and we're going to try to get on Apple Podcasts and Spotify soon because I know a lot of people want to do the audio-only version, and that's how they listen to podcasts. That takes a little bit more time, though. So, but anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in.
We're new to this, so please please leave reviews and whatnot so we can maybe better our content.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. And as always, Houday.
Hey, victory on one. Ready? Oh, that felt good.